Hey, good morning, San Diego. Good to have you here on another episode of Operation American Dream. I'm your host, Craig Sewing, with my co-host, Daniel Lehman. Good to have you here, man.
It's good to be here, man. Got some great guests today. Kevin Cortes.
Yep. Who have you lined up?
Kevin Cortes coming in. He's with Miramar Federal Credit Union right off base on Miramar. And then we got Randee McLain and Tricia Clemente coming in. And we've got some real estate agents, too.
Bob and Peter Carlseen. I'm going to actually be interviewing them a little bit later. They are out of South Bay, top producers. Bob served in the military, which is awesome for this show. And as you know, being a mortgage banker who specializes in VA financing, there's such opportunities for you to buy into the American dream if you serve in the military.
You deserve to own a piece of it.
Yep. So, all right. So you're going to get it all. You're going to get great stories, great content, great advice, all coming to you right now. Let's get the show started.
Let's do it.
Operation American Dream coming your way. All right, welcome back to the show. Thank you for tuning in, Daniel Lehman. We got a guy like you, a finance guy.
Good guy.
Yeah. So you're on the mortgage side. This is more on the banking side. You're both former Marines. Kevin Cortes, who is now with Miramar Federal Credit Union. You served 20 years as a Marine. Thank you for your service, first and foremost. Now you're doing some finance stuff like Daniel does on the residential mortgage side. But tell us about your service.
So, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. This is a real honor and pleasure to be here and to talk about my experience. I spent 20 years as a CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter pilot, which that means is I flew the biggest helicopter the Marine Corps had for 20 years.
Wow. Shockingly big, man.
Yeah.
It's a big old bird.
Yeah, we're actually the heavy lift capability for the Marine Corps. And it's the largest aircraft in the Western Hemisphere. You know, and now they're building a bigger one, which is going to be more exciting. So I did that for 20 years. I retired January of last year. And right before I got out, I came to work for the credit union.
So from flying choppers to banking.
Right.
A little bit of an adrenaline dip, maybe perhaps. Do you miss flying? Do you ever fly anymore?
You know, I don't. I still got my pilot's license, but I really think one day, Dan and I were just talking about that, I'm probably going to get back into it. I do miss flying the 53, and it's hard to go from flying a great helicopter like that with great Marines that I served with to flying a little Cessna, so it's kind of an adrenaline nut rush.
We had I'm drawing a blank on the name about a month ago that was flying the jets that now does it for recreational. Yeah, that's right.
Phil.
That's right, Phil. And I saw him at Gordon Biersch the other day as well. Came up and said, but he's doing it almost recreationally and bringing civilians. It's
It
crazy.
takes people up to dogfight and stuff.
Right.
It's fun stuff, man. You can get into that, man.
I could, yeah. As a matter of fact, Phil and I are good friends, and I see his post on Facebook, and I just saw him the other day.
Get the urge a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, especially on days where there's no clouds. You want to get back up there.
I was on the Stennis, man. We had a 53 land on the. It was just shocking, man. That thing had it was killer.
They call it a flying hurricane because our downwash is about 155 miles an hour. So we've blown over little planes. We've blown over porta-johns. We have blown over people.
You've blown over a plane. What do you mean you've blown over a plane?
So when we taxi in and you have a small Cessna that only weighs nothing and is not tied down, if there's any sort of push with power as we're coming by, then the downwash can literally get underneath the wings and flip it over. And that's been done before. Yeah, I haven't done it, but it's been done before.
Do that for sport, man.
Yeah, well, you remember
Porta-John, let's set down.
Top Gun when they buzz the coffee, right?
That's right.
So a little real life action of that.
Yeah.
So now you're at Miramar Federal Credit Union. You're helping those who have served with some unique programs there. How can we help us as military advocates and consumer advocates?
So the biggest reason why Miramar Federal Credit Union is good for our veteran community is that we're very San Diego County focused. We've been here since 1952. We are literally across the street from Miramar Air Station. Started out as a Savers Credit Union for the Navy when they were there. Now that we're off the base, then we try to look at the veteran community in San Diego. About 725,000 people in San Diego County are associated with the military in some form or fashion, whether they're family members, veterans, active duty, retirees, or reservists. And so the market we feel is that we love to stay local. And Miramar Federal federal, we support all of our local veteran organizations, profit or for-profit. What we do is that we try to think outside the box and think of how do we help our service members save money? How do we help our families be able to live in San Diego on the limited salary that they get from being in the military? So some of the programs we're involved with is a company out of Austin, Texas called Casasa. And what it is a reward checking and savings account. So we try to teach our service members to use debit instead of credit. So we will reward them with, a $10 gift card or money back or percentage back in their savings account if they use a debit instead of just using credit cards. So that's one kind of venue we have that helps them to learn to not just budget, also to save some money on the side.
You're right, man. I see you guys everywhere, man. I see you and Paul and everybody all around the community doing the SDMAC, doing all the events and everything else, really involved in the veteran community.
Yeah, we try to get involved as we can because we're more than just a credit union. One of the biggest keys that I enjoy working there is the employees and the longevity of our employees. So you have employees been there for 15, 17, 21 years, and it becomes a family. One of our members is Jim Kidrick, from the CEO of Air and Space Museum. And he's known a loan officer for over a decade, but he comes in and they have that relationship where there's a trust factor, where he can come in and get a loan and talk to our loan officers and understand that he's going to get a good deal or will at least compete with our competitors for that.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your service, and certainly through your service, the transition to where you are now at Miramar, everything you're doing. How can we help you as a show? Is there anything we can do for you?
So one of the biggest keys that we like to do is just exposure, just doing shows like this. I've been on radio a couple of times, and so my job as a chief military officer is I try to get in the San Diego County community and try to just integrate ourselves with an option for our service members. So we say go to our website, use our app, look at our Facebook, look at our Twitter feed, because we have a company that helps us promote our products by saying, hey, have you looked at a loan option for home equity line of credit, which we just promoted last month. We also have a couple of fundraisers coming up that we're going to sponsor and partner with. And so one of the biggest keys for us is to think of that financial option where you may go to a Bank of America, you may go to a USAA, but there's smaller credit unions that are centrally located and help. Every dollar that comes to us, we put back in the San Diego County community. So we're very county-centered and focused like that.
Awesome, man. Well, I see MiramarFCU.com. People want to check you out there, follow you on social media. Good website to go to. Kevin, we'll see you on the show again, hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
Hopefully up in the sky soon,
I will
man.
take you when I get a plane ready, I'll let you guys know.
Don't threaten me with a good time, man. Remember, I'm a civilian.
You're the first player.
Yeah.
Get your bearing
That's
again.
right.
Man.
Yeah, maybe I'll come in a little bit.
I forgot everything.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on the
Guys,
show.
appreciate
More
it.
Operation American Dream coming your way in just a moment.
All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. We've got some great guests in the studio from one of my favorite programs in the world, Courage to Call. We've got Randee McLain, who's the program manager, and we've got one of the lead veteran peer navigator, Tricia Clemente, in the studio as well to talk about Courage to Call. But I wanted to talk to Randee first. You're a naval veteran.
Yes, sir.
So how long were you in the Navy?
Almost 9 years. I did a little bit of reserve time and then active duty, and I separated in 2009.
Separated in 2009, and then what'd you do when you got out? I mean, was there a time when you were going to school after that, or?
Yeah, so I had a pretty difficult transition immediately, and then I got involved at San Diego State and got in with the Veterans Association there, finished my undergrad there, and then I went to USC and got my master's in military social work.
And you got, I mean, there was quite a big fire lit under you for the military community, obviously, for the veteran community also, from an early time getting out of the military.
Absolutely. I felt very disconnected when I first got out, so I tried to find, I didn't really fit in with active duty anymore, and I really didn't fit in the civilian sector, so I tried to get back and give back to my brothers and sisters.
You feel like that's still kind of a, I mean, obviously you do, right? That's still something that a lot of people are dealing with.
Absolutely. I think that there's sometimes that disconnect between where to go now when you get out.
There's a very long and intense indoctrination into military life, and then there tends to be a little bit of a lack of an indoctrination back out of military life and back into the civilian world.
Absolutely.
So much so you're so involved in the community. In 2013, 2014, you were the Veteran of the Year in San Diego.
That's correct.
That's shared by Bill York and by several other
Ron Stark, and yeah,
Ron
it's
Stark.
a big honor.
Was it
Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart. You're among legends.
I was very honored.
Well, let's get to 211 and let's get to Courage to Call. So tell us about Courage to Call.
So Courage to Call is actually a county-funded program. So we're here in San Diego County, and it's made up of 3 partner agencies. So Mental Health Systems leads the program. We also work closely with 211 and VVSD, and they take different parts of the
VVSD.
Veterans Village of San Diego.
San Diego, right? Got it.
Correct, and they do our outreach, so they do that part, and then 211 does a lot of, or they do our call center.
So they're a lot of the infrastructure piece, and they do an amazing job at the infrastructure of taking the calls and actually having the staff there to point people in the right direction.
Absolutely, it's a vital part of our program.
So tell me the portion that you guys kind of control at Mental Health System. So obviously, Tricia, I would say the unique thing about Courage to Call, from my standpoint, is there's a lot of follow-up also in certain circumstances where you can call and get resources. You can go online and get resources, but when you call Courage to Call, if needed, there's a way where you have these navigators that kind of track them through and make sure things get done.
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways into the system, and then I'll let Tricia talk about navigation specifically. But you can go through outreach. So we have a team that goes out in the community, educates them, and brings them into the system that way, whether it be through the line. They can call into the line, or the staff actually puts them into the system. And then we have proactive check-ins with them up to 18 months. Those calls that come into the peer-to-peer line, they are handled, those are the ones that, not easy calls, but those are the ones that don't face multiple barriers. The ones that are the most acute, those are sent up to our navigators. Those are the ones that are facing multiple barriers and to resources.
And that's kind of the division that Tricia leads, right?
Yes.
What are the majority of the cases that you get, or what are the big problems that you kind of run into as a navigator?
Yeah, so cases are triggered up when the needs are high acuity. We see a lot of mental health issues. One that's big right now is housing. So we have, I think, majority of our caseload is homelessness.
Is it all veterans, or is it active duty also?
It's veterans. Majority of them are veterans.
Okay.
Yes, we have some active duty.
But Courage to Call serves
Overall, we do. So we serve active duty, veteran, guard, reservists, and their families, regardless of discharge status, and also regardless of time in service.
What are some success stories of Courage to Call? Like, what are some people that have called in and you feel like really good about kind of what has transpired, like from when they came in to when they left? Do you have anybody offhand that you can kind of point to?
Yeah, right now we have some veterans that just got into housing. So part of our job is we're information and resource referral, but the case managers we provide that deeper level of care. We connect them with the community resources that house. So we do a lot of advocacy on our part. So it's advocating for a client to get into a program that will house them as soon as possible. So yeah, we have a lot of success stories. We've housed, I don't have the exact numbers, but we've definitely housed enough veterans. One of our navigators was able to connect with this resource called the Hero Box. So when our homeless veterans are housed, we get them stuff for their house. So that's furniture, that's
you can't
appliances.
just live in
an empty
housing
house.
is part of it, right?
Yeah. So yeah.
What I love about the program, again, is that you don't just call in and kind of get a number to somewhere, because you can almost drown in a sea of goodwill in the veteran community if you don't really have somebody kind of taking you through and navigate. There's a lot of great organizations, there's a lot of not so great organizations, but to have a navigator there and really walk them through, I mean, that's really, really useful. Yeah. How can the community help you guys? How can our viewers help you in kind of your mission with Courage to Call?
So there's a couple parts of that. One is education. So if you have a veteran, a neighbor, a friend, somebody that maybe needs our services, letting them know to call in. So that's part of it. Also, we are, like I said, county funded, but there are things that aren't funded. So there's things when they move in that they may need blankets or they may need various things. On our website, we have 2 options. There is a donate where you could donate monetarily if you choose to do so, but there's also an in-kind list. So there's some of the things that maybe we need when we do homeless outreach. There's items that we could be taking out with us to serve those homeless veterans that are on the street. So there's multiple ways that you can do that, but the biggest thing is education and letting anyone that is military affiliated know that we exist and we're there to help them.
So we'll run the Courage to Call. It's www.courage2call.org down on the bottom of the screen. Thank you guys so much for coming in and discussing Courage Courage to Call with us. Thanks for so much for what you're doing in the community. And if anybody out there wants to contribute, again, couragetocall.org, courage, the number 2 call.org. We'll be right back with more Operation American Dream. Stick around.
All right, now I'm taking over. I kicked the Marine out of here. Now, Daniel Lehman is, he's such an advocate for things that happen in the military, served in the military. What you might not know about him as well, he is a mortgage banking expert. He is helping a lot of people refinance, buy homes, just create opportunities there. But on my show, The American Dream, we focus a lot on real estate and real estate markets, the micro markets of San Diego, America's finest city, and 2 major producers out in South Bay. Bob and Peter Carlseen join us in studio, talk a little bit on this topic that I have a big interest in. It's been a passion of mine for years. Good to have you on the show, guys.
Thanks, Atlas. Good to be here.
So let's talk about the market as a whole. You know, I mean, I just mentioned Daniel as a mortgage professional, and he's just being flooded with inquiries because of low interest rates. What does that look like on the real estate side of things? Is there a reaction on your buyers, your sellers, anything because of low rates we're experiencing?
Yeah, we're seeing a big shift in the market right now. I think a lot of buyers definitely want to jump into the market. The biggest problem that we're facing right now is inventory levels are really low. So it's making it tough for a lot of buyers that want to jump in at the low rates and the great lending opportunities to. It's a little bit of a hassle, a little bit of a
Bob,
struggle.
in the green room, I mean, you were mentioning that the inventory is lower than it was the last time we talked. I mean, like, why is the inventory so low? I mean, is there a why behind this? Because I still haven't, you hear the inventory is low, but you don't necessarily hear the reason. Do you have an idea? I mean, a guess?
Well, even when the inventory picks up a little bit, there's more buyers than sellers. But to compound the issue, what we've got a lot of people who've owned investment property who have put their investment property, taking it off the rental market, putting it on the market to sell. So now there's more pressure on the rental market.
Rent prices are going up.
And so those people are trying to come out and buy. Both markets have become, extremely tense.
So what would you say is your best advice you could give to people that are looking to buy a home right now?
I would say the best advice is make sure that they're working with people who are well qualified to help them and represent them.
How do you learn that?
Well, that's a professional part of the business.
Yep.
And
but if I'm a consumer watching this show and there's 20,000 realtors, I don't think any one of them is going to say, work with me, I'm terrible at the job, right?
Right.
So how do you distinguish the people that know, what questions would you ask if you're interviewing an agent? What are the important things to know about a realtor to know if they're an expert and there's someone you can trust?
Good question. And I think this is where what a lot of buyers don't do. They don't take the time to interview 2 or 3 high-quality agents to make the selection. It's not just their production, it's who they're most comfortable with is part of it. But I watch a lot of buyers and sometimes sellers grab the first person in front of them because of what they saw on an app or something.
Right.
And that may or may not be in their best interest.
Well, we're all online, right? Technology is advanced. Right. I got my laptop here, my cell phone here. I mean, we want quick answers, right? And you get that online. But I always have felt that real estate, and it's not that I felt, it's a fact, real estate is a relationship business, and you have to be aligned with people that know the market, know the micro market. You guys actually specialize in South Bay.
Yes, we do.
Can you speak to that market a bit? Is there anything different versus real estate as a whole in San Diego? Is there anything different in South Bay?
Well, I think the price point for the properties in South Bay definitely lend themselves to a lot more demand. And right now we're just not seeing enough on the market.
Just because it's a lower price point, so there's more buyers that can get in there.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And especially military coming in, they're trying to stay within a budget, usually close to their BAH, and the price point in South Bay is generally more conducive to that.
The Fed VA buyers, this is Operation American Dream, right? So let's make sure we're giving the advice to the people that we're serving here. Do you have a lot of VA buyers in that market?
A lot. In fact, just had one listing on the market a week and a half ago, ended up accepting an offer with a VA buyer, and 6 of the 7 offers that we had received were from VA buyers.
6 to 7 offers for VA buyers.
6 of the 7.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear that in the rest of the market. And it's probably because of the price point, right? First-time home buyers, no money down. The payment's going to be close to what you're paying in rent. This is where we need Daniel, not me, breaking down the numbers. Earlier, I asked you for advice on buyers. What about sellers, Bob? What do sellers need to know in this market if you're putting the home on the market?
I think it starts the same way. Make sure you get good representation from somebody who can help you meet your objective and do it in a way that's in your best interest. And again, I think you take the time to do the research, to interview the people, and to make sure you're making a good choice.
How do you get top dollar?
How do you get top dollar? Well, I think
Seems like the demand is so much there, you're going to get something good, but how do you get the best offer, accept it, close timely manner?
Well, you get the best offer by having the most buyers at your door. And you have the most buyers at your door by having the best marketing. But then, it's best marketing and then it's best negotiating. And you can have all the offers in the world. If your agent doesn't know how to negotiate in your best interest, you may not reach your objective.
Are there still challenges on the listing side, VA buyers? Because I know that and this is one of the most unfortunate things about a low inventory market that just hurts my heart, honestly, that you have people that are going to sell their home, and because someone's bringing VA financing, there's maybe a nuance to it, or there's a stigma around it, so those offers don't get accepted for the VA buyer because there's a concern that maybe the financing will be more challenging. Do you still see that?
I don't feel it anymore. Years ago I did.
That's
in
good.
The South Bay we don't. We have price point in the South Bay for VA buyers, but we also have location for a lot of our military people. So our location complements a lot of the needs of military people. And we have the great family neighborhoods for them to bring their family, feel good, feel safe when they're deployed. So, but I don't really face that. I think if that's sold right, it's not a problem at all. I haven't seen it as a barrier.
Crystal ball time, Peter. 12 months from now, you guys are on Operation American Dream, and we're saying, how was the market for the last 12 months? What are we going to be saying?
We're going to be seeing.
Put you guys on the spot today.
Good.
Picking up on this?
I like it.
Grilling you.
Yep.
I should have mentioned earlier, Bob served in the military as well. Thank you for your service. So if there's anyone I'm able to grill, it's a tough guy like Bob. But, 12 months from now, what do you think we're going to be looking at?
12 months from now, I think prices are probably going to be a little bit higher. We're going to see anywhere in probably the 4 to 8% appreciation in our market anyways. Inventory levels, I would expect them to stay low. I don't see anything that would suggest that there's going to be a huge sell-off on properties. The market is very stable. We're seeing a lot more new construction on some of the higher density neighborhoods in the Otay Ranch area. So the product being sold right now that's new is attached or it's detached with the attached feel.
Interesting.
So the more established neighborhoods that are your standard traditional single family detached yard, driveway, all that good stuff, going to be higher demand and may see a little bit higher appreciation than some of the other higher density neighborhoods.
We shall see. If you're wrong, we got it here recorded.
Good.
No. Bob and Peter, thanks for coming on the show. As always,
pleasure.
thank you for your service, Bob, and thank you for helping those who have served. I mean, the VA benefit to buy a home is such an incredible one that as a civilian, I don't have, but if you're a civilian like me, you can get in with 3.5% down. That's still
3.25.
Yeah, that's even 3, and there's like down payment programs now. But point being, you don't even need that much money. But if you have served in our military, you can buy a house, no money down, and it's just something you look into. Doesn't mean everybody should do it, doesn't mean it's right for you, but you at least explore it. And in fact, coming up next, we're going to bring Daniel Lehman in here, who is one of the top mortgage originators, not just a TV show host. We're going to talk a little bit about interest rates and close up this show. Thanks, guys, for coming on. We'll see you back here in just a moment. All right, welcome back to the show. You just heard from some amazing guests with just great information for you, whether you've served in the military or not. I hope you connect with them online. And I want to remind you, you can connect with us online as well if you want to follow the show, OperationAmericanDream.tv. My co-host here, Daniel Lehman. We're just going to rap. What do you want to rap about, Daniel?
Whatever you want to rap about, man.
When you're not doing TV and radio shows, you also have your radio show on 1170 AM KCBQ, which is a great platform for what you do and your message. You help people really do the more challenging part of the real estate side, because finding a home, I think, is the fun part. It's going online, looking at homes, but getting the money is a challenging part. I'm refinancing my mortgage right now because rates are ridiculous from this whole Brexit thing. You help people do this as a professional. So can you help us understand why they're so low? I mean, look, 3.25, done, refinance, but why? Why are we so low?
A lot of people think that somehow the banks control interest rates, and that's really not the case. The bank kind of gives the loan to the homeowner initially, and then the bank sells in these bundles to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae if you're government.
Yep.
And then they basically sell it on the open market as bonds. So the misconception is somehow we probably had this conversation maybe beginning of the year when the Fed was looking at quote unquote increasing rates.
Right.
It has nothing to do with mortgage rates. It has everything, and as evidenced by the fact that the Fed increased rates and rates on mortgages went down a ton.
And people are confused. You know, I mean, I imagine you help all these people that come into your office on this. I mean, I'm sure the questions you get are around that exact topic.
We don't even let them ask the questions, because for us, it's all about, it's about 50% education, then we do an application based on the education that we just gave them. So we go through all this stuff, and part of that is the market and understanding why rates fluctuate. But yeah, so in essence, what happened with Brexit is it was unexpected. So that unexpected kind of thing in the market dropped the stock market off, raised the bond market up, bonds go up, rates go down, and there you go. That's where we're benefiting from all the low rates now.
So it's, you know, the interesting thing here is it's like bad news can be good news for mortgage rates.
I'm always like looking at my computer like, no, my stock portfolio, yes, rates. You know, it's like,
no.
It's like this, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, the geopolitical issue, but that uncertainty. Bonds carry this level of certainty. Mm-hmm. It's a fixed
safe
asset,
haven.
Right. So the money that moves are not even just here, but globally, it pushes those yields down, just a supply and demand thing. So as a result, guys like me are refinancing their mortgage. Well, those that served in the military can do the IRL, but go ahead.
I was going to say, our focus is very much around housing veterans. Our focus in the veterans division of our company is mentoring, training, and hiring veterans, but also housing veterans. If you serve your country, you deserve to own a piece of it, period, end of story. But there's also benefits to the VA loan when things like this happen with all of our clients that have purchased, or anybody that's done a VA loan in the past. With your loan, what you'll have to do is send documentation again, get an appraiser back out, do all that stuff again.
Yep, because I'm a civilian in conventional financing.
Yeah, and what VA allows you to do is VA has what's called an interest rate reduction refinance loan. It's called an IRL. And in essence, it's kind of like a streamline. So in essence, they look at your payment history, make sure you've been paying on time, and then if it makes sense, you can basically refinance with no appraisal, no income documentation.
So look at your payment history. Okay, you're honoring your commitment. Let's get you in a lower rate.
Correct. Yeah, and they'll just drop it on down. You have to be a little bit careful because a lot of people send mailers and stuff. Whenever rates go down, just the crazies come out. It's like a full moon. You know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Well, we thank you for your service. You know what we got coming next week? I mean, some of these guests that you're bringing on here are just unbelievable. By the way, Daniel is responsible for the guests.
Well, Eve Nasby,
this guy,
too.
Eve, I mean, you guys are so connected in the community. And here's my biggest thing. In media, so we're in San Diego, we're in America's finest city. In media, everyone knows there's New York and there's LA, and there's these two hubs, right? So that's where shows are developed, and late night talk shows, reality shows, the whole nine yards are those two hubs. If you're gonna develop a show around the military and military people and sharing their stories and giving advice, what better place to do it than San Diego, California, a military town? So that's why we're here. And,
we need people to watch.
Yeah. So follow us. That's how you do it. OperationAmericanDream.tv. Follow us on social media. Check out the show. We upload all of our clips there.
And don't just watch. Share with your friends and spread the word.
Spread the word. Support the military. Spread the word. All right, Daniel Lehman, always a good show with you. Thank you so much for your service. And it's weekend time, man.
Let's do it. I'm ready for it.
To the weekend. Thank you for tuning in to the show. We'll see you next week, Friday, 10:30 a.m. But don't forget, you can also catch us online, OperationAmericanDream.tv. We're out. And for those of you who served, thank you for your service.